after
uh,
programs, they just take it.
kind of like the U.S. government, like you don't have enough to pay your bills, so they just take whatever you have. Kind of like one of those systems, except we're a little bit more graceful.
Now, communism and socialism are kind of like kissing cousins. They're, you know, if they're not the exact same thing, they still look like they somewhat come from the same family because they end up taking all your money and you don't get it. They have the control and you don't.
Well, communism is the total redistribution of wealth. Socialism isn't really like it's not redistributing the wealth. It's more just giving back or quote unquote giving back to the people who pay the taxes and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, look at Obamacare. That's nothing but a wealth distribution scheme.
Yeah.
That's
I
what it
mean,
is.
when it came up the first day, I mean, barely only two people could actually sign up for it.
But well, that's their stupidity with the way they set it up. That's a totally different thing. I mean, we're talking.
Well, no, I'm just kind of
You know,
explaining why it's bad.
that is meant to do nothing but literally try to break the back of the middle class.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. And through that, what are they trying to do? Is literally take and redistribute your wealth for you, and they're giving it away to people who, number one,
Don't deserve it.
who either don't deserve it or who people who are, shall we say,
Babies?
glorious sensitive topic. No, not babies. People who are here not of legal means
Border
and,
jumpers.
and who are cheapening up, you know, legal immigrants who have come in here in accordance with laws
Hmm.
to try to buy more votes.
Hey, you want me to like put stuff like right beneath these blocks to keep them from like blasting out if we fall in the lava?
I don't care.
Okay.
That goes to nothing. So.
And I am not against immigrants at all.
Yeah.
This country, it's a
Most of it
melting,
is
it's
just
a melting,
immigrants
melting
anyway.
pot of immigrants is what it is.
Honestly, that's like
60% of everything here is immigrants. When it
yeah,
comes
that's as much as a good thing as a bad thing though. Like, and I mean, I don't mean for America. I mean, just why do you think the violence levels are so high here when they're not in other countries? You know, because groups of people just don't get along. And I think,
Some of the violence really isn't as, they, look at some of this, if you took the gangs and the organized crime out of it,
mhm.
there's not as much violence going on as what people think there is.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm talking more about like the gangs and the organized crimes. The reason that they're here is because uh, this is just like a general oversight. This isn't every specific thing, but like when let's say I don't know, Cuban and I come to this country, what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to find other Cuban people and I'm going to meet up with them and I'm going to be friends with them because they're just like me. Like I know their cultures, I know all this stuff about them. And then that's how that's how like a Little Italy starts or something like that or Hell's Kitchen. And then when you get like New York City where Hell's Kitchen is right next to Chinatown and stuff like that, there are going to be differences because there are differences in culture,
Yeah,
and I think that's how the hostilities really start.
some of it, but yet,
no.
I mean, when you immigrate to a country, you're not necessarily supposed to lose your culture. You're supposed to bring the best things from your culture and bring them here, and they all somewhat blend.
Yeah, yeah,
You're not supposed to come in and try to change the culture that's, so to speak, that's already here. But, because there's so many, even with, you go to Chicago, and you're going to have Polish areas, you're going to have German areas, you're going to
I
have
like those areas.
Chinese group, and those sections they function well.
yeah.
But there are there criminals that are Chinese or Polish or Germans or Irish, or yeah, you're going to find there's a criminal element in any one of those, in all of them really. But if you took out the guys that were trying to be criminals, really everybody else pretty much gets along.
Hmm.
Or the people that just do not care about the country in general, and they just want to do whatever they want, thinking they can get away with all these rights.
Well, it's the people that come up and try to bring their laws from other lands. That's where things kind of butt heads.
Well, I mean, not only that, but I mean, people. I mean, I can see people taking our laws for granted too, because I mean, when you think about it, we have some of the most free laws of any country on the planet.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can see people taking that for granted and being like, "Oh, I have freedom of speech," and doing all this and make. I mean, they say the wrong thing, they can start an uproar.
I mean, with as much as screwed up imperfections as there are with this is still the freest. This is the last door of freedom. If and this is the only, really one of the only countries on the face of the earth, with the exception of Israel on some issues, we're the only ones that will fight for freedom.
Yeah.
In other, especially in other nations, in other parts of the world. If it was not for the U.S., most of the rest of the world wouldn't even know what freedom looked like. Hence the reason, if you've got a good country, people are trying to get into it. If all these other places that are trying to adopt, Shahara law or things like that, people aren't flocking to go to those places.
Yeah.
Free people aren't anyway. And it's like,
I mean,
there's
some
a
people
reason,
have been
because
under.
they're not free.
Well, I mean, some people who have been under. Okay, well, when I think of it this way, like when the whole free people thing, like they're going certain places with Shahara law and all that. I think of like some people go there anyway because that's what they're used to, and they're not used to being free, so they're kind of scared of what it will be like. So I mean, I can see some people going there just because that's what they know. So,
Well, I
there's-
mean, the fact is, it's just kind of like a East Berlin, West Berlin kind of situation where you see all the East Berliners trying to get to the West Berlin side, but you don't see any West Berliners trying to get to the East Berlin.
Yep. Yeah, that I think you hit the nail on the head right there.
isn't it the same thing with like North and South Korea too?
And because East Berlin was communist, where
Yeah.
West was, and there's a good experiment of it right there. They're like, oh well, no, communism is the best thing. Really? Well, why do people try to get out of it?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Why do you have to put up a wall and threaten people with death if you're so good? If this really works, why do you have to kill people
To keep them there.
to keep them in?
in theory, communism would work, but the reason why it won't work is because of people's natural instinct of greed.
Well,
Like if you read the Manifest Destiny, the Communist Manifesto, I'm sure. I mean, I personally haven't read it, but I'm sure there are very good ideas in there. Karl Marx was a very intelligent individual, and to a certain extent, I agree with communism. Like, obviously, I don't think that everybody should be equal, stuff like that. But if you think that, like, that's a logical thing. I could see you thinking that. But the people's greed and the way that it's supposed to work, I'm not sure if you guys know how it was written, but the way that it's supposed to work is, one person's supposed to take over, and then once they take over, they're supposed to step down for a kind of like a council, if you will. Like, I'm going to refer to the Jedi Council on this one. Kind of like that.
Wait, he's not here yet to go help out Mom again.
Oh, well, I'll still say it.
Yeah, so I can hear it.
But, and then once
He's talking
the...
to one person.
What?
I was talking to Dad for a sec.
Once the takeover is done, that person's supposed to step down for the council, and the council is actually supposed to, they're like the little Senate people, and they make all the decisions for the people. And if that works right, that could actually be really good, because now instead of having what your dad had said before, everybody just thinking about themselves, now you'll get people who will actually care about, other people and doing what's best for the country instead of just doing what's best for them.
And this is in communism?
Yeah. In theory, it works. Like, if it were 100% communist, it would work. But there has not been 100% communist government in the history of the world.
And, I mean, the weird thing is, too, is, check out some of the videos from PJTV.
Do you want this, hold on.
Communism and
Do you want this polished granite, by the way, all this?
Sure.
Okay.
With communism is one of those things that, in theory, it should work.
Yeah, but it won't.
But because there's only two classes in communism. They'll tell you, oh, no, everyone's equal. No, they're not. You have the ones that are in power and the ones who are not.
Yeah.
And the ones that are not, they're called subjects. And the one that's in power, they're called the dictators. Get out of here. Thank you. The only other bad thing about communism too, it quelches creativity. Kalashnikov. I'm sure you know who that is.
Yeah.
Do you know he didn't make a darn thing off of the AK-47?
Oh, I believe it.
He didn't make anything. Why? Because even though he created one of the, not, like it's fine art, but even though he created the greatest workhorse rifle that the planet's ever seen.
Most popular, too.
He didn't get any monetary gain for that at all, for coming up with that idea. Why? Because, he was in communism. It's the people's. Your idea is the people's idea. And he ended up, the only way he ended up making any money was basically
selling it to other countries
and getting his name on a bottle of vodka, and which technically doing that is a little bit more capitalistic.
Yeah.
But otherwise he'd basically just died a penniless man.
Yeah.
Something that was one of the world's best things ever done.
For a great design. And that's where people are, capitalism. That's like, capitalism. The major advantage to capitalism is if you come up with innovating ideas,
you'll be rewarded.
You're rewarded for it instead of having it taken away from you. And then what do you do when you're rewarded for great ideas? You make more ideas. And then you build more things, and then you do more things, and it keeps building on itself. They're like, it's all about greed. No, it's about, it's like, if you went in and did a good job of mowing a lawn, and then the owner of the property walks up to you and slaps you across the face because you did such a good job, probably wouldn't mow the lawn that well next time.
Yeah.
If I do a good job, and
it's okay,
and you take my shirt and slap me in the face, and then the next time I do it, you throw dirt in my eye and kick me in the shins. Why am I going to want to keep doing a good job? I'm not. I'm just going to. If I'm not rewarded for doing well, and I can be.
Come back and send your request
for just
no,
mediocre,
I just went up top.
Then why would I ever do more?
Yeah. That's why. It's like, I feel like they should be rewarding people for doing more. Like I said, like we both said, communism in theory works, but just because of people's natural instincts to want more in life and to not just make it by, it'll never work.
Yeah, there's too much reliance on, the communism, in theory, that's the quote unquote, in theory. When you actually play the theory out and go, well, how would that ever work? You can't. There's people that, you can't sit down and have a logical discussion and go, well, so wait a minute. You mean if I do work and you just take all my money away and then give it to somebody else
who probably didn't do as much work as you?
Yeah, and you busted your butt, and I sat there on I sat there in a chair and
Or in a jacuzzi and just sat back and did
and
nothing.
I worked for an hour and you slaved for 8. Well, eventually you're going to end up doing as little or less than what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're by not being rewarded for doing well, you're being penalized for doing well.
And can you accept the thing so I can at least get back?
Okay.
Dash TPA. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad at least some of the.
I do like how some people in this country do have a backbone, though, and they'll say
Oh,
no to
there's people in
communism.
this country with a backbone. There's a lot more people in this country with a backbone than people in Washington want you to think.
Yeah.
Oh, Bureau of Land Management. There is a wasted federal agency. I'm trying to remember which one of the states it is. If it's Nevada
Indiana.
or no. One of the states out west. The federal government. If you look at all the land the federal government owns, they own about 80% of the state, and that's not
Yeah, that is Nevada.
yeah, and that's not legal.
Yeah.
That's not legal for the federal government to own
80% of a
state.
state. It's not. It's not
That's
even a no.
legit.
It's not even a state anymore.
Yeah.
Technically,
It becomes.
it's just the
basically,
infusion of another state.
It becomes defunct. As far as the state goes, it becomes just property of the federal government.
Okay, Betty, do you know where the house is, by the way?
Yeah, it's over in that direction.
That
And
direction.
all the land grabs they're doing. It's like what's going on with that?
Yeah, what are you gonna do with all that land anyway?
Well, that's the federal government keep getting bigger and trying to outgrow its britches, and so it takes up and swallows up more stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Well,
Who started that even worse 8 years ago?
the BLM has been going crazy, and the BLMs, they've ended up having, Minutemen from other places showing up, like the Clyde Bundy Ranch, all that out west. That was, Bureau of Land Management. Explain to me why those people need to be armed. Land management? Okay, I could see maybe if you're in the middle of nowhere and you got a pistol to, maybe stop, a pack of wolves.
yeah.
But why do you need heavy armament? Why do you need you're not a law enforcement agency.
Yeah.
You deal with land and water and what the heck, And too many. Oh, here'd be the other thing. Too many government getting too big. Look at the EPA. Are there some good things the EPA does? I'm certain there's a few, and there's some things out there that need to be somewhat protected. Like you shouldn't be able to go and pour your toxic chemicals in a stream and destroy the water for 100,000 people downstream of you. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to do that kind of crap. But yet, too, where they're on this whole, well, global warming, it's more dangerous than ISIS. Bull crap.
I'm sorry, global warming won't kill me within a couple of seconds.
It's like,
Well, not even that. I mean, I'm a firm believer in global warming being a myth. I think it's all just cyclic.
yeah, it's somebody trying to make a buck is what it is.
Yeah.
Does that mean I want to say waste all our natural resources and just let it all burn? No.
Yeah.
You need to be a smart steward. And, don't be out there wasting crap. If you can recycle something, absolutely recycle something. But this whole
I
bull
had
crap,
DAS TPA to me.
they've
TPA to you?
Yeah.
Alright,
pretty
one
much
sec.
almost shut down the coal industry in this country with all their regulations, and they've cleaned up the coal dramatically. They put out so much less emissions than they ever used to, and they keep trying to hamper them even more. In I believe it's between, because you go out to Pennsylvania, you go to Illinois, where else? There's 4 or 5 states. They got rid of over 18,000 jobs, shutting down coal plants.
Yeah.
And why? Those are middle class people working on a coal mine. Middle class or lower middle class. It's like, and now all these people are out of a job, got to do something else, got to find a new way to get employed.
And then they're going to be the people that have to get paid by these government programs.
Yeah.
So then they go from middle class
And-
to
and-
lower
And
class.
instead of giving them the dignity of letting them earn their own way, now you're going to make them wards of the state or wards of the government.
Dang it, I did it again.
Now they, because they're acting like, all wind power is the way to go. All the solar, yeah. Can they help in some way? Sure. Most of the power across this country
Comes from
comes
coal.
from coal-fired plants.
Yeah.
It's not even nuclear. I think only like 20% comes from other things, but yet they're shutting down all the coal. Well, what's that do? That just raises the price of it on everybody. Who's it raise the price on?
Us.
Us. So it's nothing but a big squeeze on the middle class. And look at the Keystone Pipeline. What the
Yeah.
crap? What? Even the EPA came out and said, there really isn't a big problem with this. Yet
It's not being done.
Yet it's being fought. And specifically, the president's the one that's fighting it. He directly is the one that is standing behind it, or standing in the way of it. And it's like, wait a minute. How can you stop this?
That's good.
Yeah.
Even his own EPA that's bought and paid for by him came out and said, no, there's really no negative impact to the, to nature out here.
Mhm.
It's really not a problem. And he still stomps his feet and says, no, you can't have it. I mean, because
I wonder why we can't have it.
Because what would happen if they were able to move oil quicker and cheaper and easier? What would it do? Drop the price of gas to 80 cents a gallon?
Again?
Then what would happen? Then what would happen? Suddenly, middle class acts like they just got a raise because now they've got a whole lot more money because now it's a lot cheaper to drive to work. And then suddenly,
The economy gets better.
we wouldn't be
Sucked by the
dependent
economy.
on, Alibaba and his 40 thieves that are trying to kill us anyway, screaming death to America.
Yeah.
But they're ready to collect a paycheck from us when we buy their oil.
That's the thing that I find most ridiculous about it. Like, the only reason why they even have a problem with us,
Hey,
really.
Cavetti, what is this place?
I found some guy's house, and this is the downstairs part.
Oh.
But the only reason that we have a problem with, or that they have a problem with us, is because we intervened with them. And why do we intervene with them? Because they have oil. That's the only reason that we even care that they're there. If they're trying to be communist, or if they have oil, that's the only reason why we care about a country.
And another thing with that also is like,
Okay, that's fine. Wash it
if they
twice.
don't, like, they can control us over the smallest little things. It's like, here, you don't want to help us? Fine, we'll take away your oil. And it's like, okay, and we're like saying uncle to them already.
Yeah. When meanwhile, in Alaska, we have more oil than they have in the Middle East. Well, maybe not the whole Middle East, but more than one Middle Eastern country. Like, more than any one Middle Eastern country.
Between North Dakota and Alaska, we probably have more oil than the rest of the world.
Yeah. It's ridiculous how much.
And nobody stops to look at it.
And they're
either.
like, well, that we're going to do that. We're going to use.
We're
that
saving
when-
that for reserves.
Yeah, when all the oil in the Middle East is out. Yeah, really? What?
I'm sorry, they're not going to run out before we get taken over, if
I
you're
doubt
thinking
very
about
highly
that.
that they'll ever run out.
And if they do, it'll be a miracle.
Yeah, we can run out. Do I foresee it happening? I mean, in my lifetime, no. I hope not.
No.
So,
I don't see it in the next 15 generations.
yeah. Hopefully,
I mean,
hopefully it won't be me or my kids. Cross my fingers, knock on wood. But yeah, like, eventually, yes, we will run out. Oil is not a renewable resource. We can't Like it
But
takes
that's
millions of years to make, and we're just gonna be eating it up as it comes. So we will run out one day, yes. But do we need
Is-
reserves? No.
I'm sorry, but by that time, I I just don't see it.
I
Like,
mean, like I said, I see being a smart steward, but
don't be a
there's-
stupid
there-
smart steward.
There's a reason that the stuff's here, and then there's still so much. How many things are there out there that haven't even been explored, haven't even been found? What deposits are out there that
And people are
no
making
one
these
ever
excuses.
knew existed even? I mean, there's still creatures that are in the depths of the earth or in the depths of the ocean that have never been seen before.
Adding, we can't get to them anyway.
Well,
So
no, now that, with some subs, they've found weird looking things that they're like, holy cow, what is this?
we'll name
Yeah.
it this. Like it hasn't
Yeah.
already been named.
Yep.
Alright, I think I'm gonna end the video there. It's been quite a long discussion.
Yeah, I think it was a really good discussion. Though.
Yeah, it went cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, leave a comment what you think. Please be mature about it. Like, don't just start bickering with people. I want this to be a mature environment. So,
we do want to see comments on it, but we don't want you to like overtake someone else's voice. On
yeah,
that.
yeah. Just respect everybody else's opinion, and that's all I could ask for. So until next time, guys, it's been Kavadi, and I will see you later.